which seems to resist. See, when you move your arm like this, you have here what are called antagonistic muscles. And dependent on these is motion. I prefer to call them complementary muscles, but still they are called antagonistic. It's all right. So when this muscle contracts, when the bicep contracts, this one relaxes. And so the opposite way when you do this. Now, you see, they play with each other, against each other. And so they make a movement possible. So it is with the voluntary and the involuntary, the power and the non-power, where I conquer and where I surrender. See? But you get this feeling now. You see, I played it all the way through. Everything, every creature, every center of sensitivity, every eeny-weeny in the world is the same one. They're all in the same position. But the whole thing is to look as if they weren't. Because that's the hiding part of the game, the concealing part. So that every single eeny-weeny, or human being, or whatever you want, any unit of sensitivity. I often said, what about how do the teeth of a gorgeous girl look to an oyster? So, and then you realize, you see, that the whole point of it is that those things have to look different. That's the whole point. That if you didn't feel they were not human, they were something else, you wouldn't know you were human. And so they, on their side, look at you. You, as a human being, have some claim, although it's probably merely relative, to be the most predatory monster on Earth. Because the fish stay in the sea, the birds pretty much stay in the air, but human beings range through air and ocean and everything after their prey. I mean, supposing the sharks could walk. So, when all this starts in, you begin to experience an extraordinary kinship with all other forms of life, not only kinship with insects and worms and bacteria and so on, but also people. Because you begin to see that everybody is faced with the same problem you are. See, because you can despise other people in certain ways or other classes of people and say, well, they're terrible. But you wouldn't know you were in the right unless you had all those terrible people around you. I was talking in a previous seminar about in-groups. And just for those of you who weren't here, I'll say briefly, everybody's trying to get themselves into an in-group, that is to say, to be nice people. And everybody who does constitute an in-group thinks that they're the nice people, and that the outsiders, even though they belong to a very fancy in-group, are all nasty people. See? And so, if you're in a given American town, say, live on the right side of the tracks, and you're the nice people, and there are all those bums and niggers and whatever, Mexicans over there, and you say, and they on their hand say, gee, we really live a real life, because we have to face poverty. We have to, we're right down close to the bone, and here, although it's rough, the meat is sweet. And those people don't know it, those wretched. They're all big bosses, and they own all the land, and they own all the property. And they're a worthless bunch of junk. They're not even Christians. And they don't want anything to do with them. And so they feel they're the real in-group, you see. But neither one can know it is the real in-group without the contrast of the other, see. You depend on people who you could look down on in order to be able to feel up. And so you should recognize this and say, thank you very much for giving me the privilege of being an in-group, because without you, I wouldn't know where I was. And so you